to today's show. A boomer and a Gen Xer walk into a bar, coming to you from the Rabbit Hole Studio, where you, as a listener, will experience some wit and wisdom, some smartassery, and a mother-daughter questioning, are we even related? My name is Bobby, and my co-host is my mom, Jane Burt, and for the next 20 to 25 minutes, we are here to entertain you.
Entertain. Woo-hoo!
All right.
Here we go.
Today's topic is kind of a serious one. We're not going to make it too serious, but it is. We're going to talk about a father's right to walk away.
What?
So,
oh my goodness.
Yep, we're going to dive into it. Now, this kind of goes along with the abortion debate. That's why, when we were talking about it, I titled it Roe versus Wade, Equal Rights for Fathers to Walk Away. Now, I'm going to be talking about our state, Iowa, some generalizations, and another state that I've lived in Texas, where I have some actual experience with this. So
this is what I get for teaching you to read and sending you to school.
This is what you get for me going to college.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
But we talk about a woman's rights and, the abortion debate, the adoption debate, things like that. What we don't really touch on is a father's rights in all of this.
It's a good topic because it's been coming up a little bit in the media here lately.
It has, and rightfully so. This is a topic that is long overdue for some spotlight on it. Because the mother is carrying the child once the child is conceived, the mother does have options. Now, we're not discussing if those options are right or wrong on this show, okay? But she has abortion as an option, adoption as an option, or keeping the child and raising it, okay?
Correct.
Those are some options the mothers have.
Yeah.
When a child is born, if the mother doesn't, once she conceives, if the mother doesn't want to abort the child, if the mother does not want to put the child up for adoption once it's born, where does that leave the fathers?
Wow. Okay. This is going to be a really tough one, really tough question today because, we are not going to talk about pro-choice, pro-life, right?
Correct.
We're not going to
talk about a whole nother show.
And I don't think it's going to be our show because there's a lot to that. But Bobby and I didn't talk about this beforehand other than she said, I get to pick the next topic. And that's the last time that's going to happen. I can tell you that right now. But we didn't talk about this beforehand. We probably have had some discussions in passing just because of our own experiences in the past with our family members. But I'm kind of anxious to see where you land, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So let's kick this thing off.
All right. So let's start with Iowa.
Okay.
All right. So our great state of Iowa, a parent cannot unilaterally give up their parental rights. So what that means is they can't just walk into a courtroom and say, I don't want to be a parent anymore. Where do I sign? Okay.
What?
You can't do that. You can't do that. Now, if it serves the child's best interest, then they can go before a judge, have a hearing, and kind of convince the judge of why them being a parent is not in that child's best interest.
Why can't they give the child up for adoption?
They can. And in doing so, they can terminate their parental rights. But,
okay.
But what we're talking about here is the father's choices alone. So let's say that they had a conversation. Neither one of them wanted kids. The mother becomes pregnant, even with the use of birth control and things like that. What rights does the father have to walk away? What rights does the father have to say, I didn't want this child? The mother's choosing to have this child without my permission. Why should I be saddled with that?
So are you going to give me your thoughts first, or am I going to go first? Because I can just feel an attack coming down from above here.
I'll go first here. So a few of the things that means for a father who doesn't want a child. Preventative, option one, vasectomy. until you're ready to have kids. Now, the problem with a vasectomy is the chance of reversal success is between 60 and 95%. So those are good odds, but it's still a surgical procedure. And there is still a chance of failure of reversal once that father decides that he's ready to have a family. Option 2, of course, is abstinence, which we all know none of us is doing that.
Well, I had read somewhere, and I wish I'd have pulled it up here now, but I had read that the Generation X, no, not Generation X. It'd be, who's after the millennials?
Generation Z.
Generation Z indicated that sexually isn't that important to them.
And that's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
That is a good thing.
And so, and I can't remember, I wish I had not even said that now because I don't have the percentages here in front of me, but it was a pretty high number. I want to say it was like 39% said, doesn't mean a thing to me. I'm not in it for any of that. I'm looking for people to hang out with, to do recreational things with, and to have, like a life partner. I'm not really that into the sex side of it. So,
yeah, but I mean,
sure,
people change as they grow up.
Oh, absolutely.
And then option 3 is the termination of parental rights. And across the board, every state is kind of the same on that, where it's darn near impossible to get termination of parental rights willingly, like voluntarily. Like I walk in and I say, I don't want to do this. I'm done. I don't want to pay child support. I don't want to be responsible for this child.
Right.
It's even if the termination is granted voluntarily, did you know that the father still has to pay child support for that child even after he terminates his rights? Did you know that?
Is that just in the state of Iowa or is that in Texas also?
So that is in, I can't remember the number. It's in a lot of states. I know in Iowa it is one.
Okay.
Texas has a special exemption where the judge can say at the termination hearing, he doesn't have to pay any more child support.
Okay.
But that is up to the judge.
So this is what we've read and what we've found out, right?
And what I have actually been through personally.
Okay.
Yes.
So if we're a little bit off on this, please don't hold it against us. And this isn't legal advice by any stretch of the imagination.
Not at all. And there are exemptions. There are differences.
Yeah. And one thing that you did leave out on, prevention, prophylactics, obviously, giving those out or utilizing those. Both men and women have the options of using those. And so there are some other options.
Oh, yeah,
here.
absolutely. I didn't mean to leave that out. Yeah, absolutely. I was just talking kind of like the big solutions for it. Of course, prophylactics, they're not 100% effective. Even when used correctly, are only around in the 90s.
Well, I mean, other than abstinence, nothing is, correct?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
You've got that. So the question is, where do we stand on this? I don't know that I need to tell you where I stand on this, but I will say this much. When you enter into that relationship, you've done it as two consenting adults. Two consenting adults, two individuals. You've had choices. You had choices, you have choices. And I guess I have to say my personal opinion is I've always felt that the father has just as much right as that mother. That's the way I feel.
That's how it should be. That's how it should be. And,
for somebody to say, and I've heard this because I got two daughters, I carried that baby. I carried that baby for 9 months. It's my body, my choice, my decision. No, not in my opinion. I feel that the man has just as much right as the woman does and has just as much say as the woman does.
But what happens when he doesn't want it, but she does? She wants to keep it. So there's a number I'm going to throw at you, and this is going to come into the mix, and you'll see how in a minute. So did you know that between 0.8 and up to 30% of men are raising a child that isn't biologically theirs unknowingly?
I guess
as high as 30% of men are raising a child believing that child is theirs biologically.
But it's not.
But it is not.
So how do we know those statistics? If they don't know, how do we get those stats?
Well,
They find out later?
they do. They find out
okay.
later.
So
and,
that- so this was
genealogy
initially-
testing has come a long way and has
Sure.
become accessible for even the layperson to get a genealogy test and send it in. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, these numbers are popping up because now, to go along with that and along with this talk, my opinion is that married or not, every child should have a DNA test from birth.
Oh,
Now, I have a few reasons for this. Number one, of course, to establish paternity.
sure.
I don't care if you've been married for 20 years and you trust your partner, to the
Yeah.
ends of the earth and back.
Yeah.
This is going to definitively, for the rest of this child's life, let this child know where they came from.
Yeah, that can be both good and bad. That can be pretty damning for somebody who really is raising a child and says, I don't even want to know. I
Well-
don't want to know. I don't want the child to know. I'm going to treat that child as if it's mine.
And they have the right to do that, but that child deserves to know. We have too many genetic abnormalities. We have too many genetic diseases. We have too many things running through our systems that come from generations ago that child has every right to know about.
Okay, that's a good position to think about.
Now, I think that the test results themselves, if agreed upon by both parties, they can wait till the child's 18.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
If that dad steps up and says it doesn't matter, I'm going to sign this birth certificate. That's my child. Okay, cool. But now we know. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we know you can choose to do what you're going to do with it at the age of 18. But, that way also the father can't come back and say, well, I didn't know.
Yeah, I guess, in some senses it does clear it up. In other senses, man, I think that kind of muddies the relationship. And
But when that child's 10 years old and that mom gets mad at that dad because he went out and cheated on her and looks at that dad in the face and says, that baby ain't yours, what's that going to do to that 10-year-old?
Yeah.
What's that going to do to that father who's been raising that child not knowing it wasn't his?
Wow. I will tell you just up front, I do not like this topic at all. It's really making my head hurt and it's giving me a headache.
Well, and let's circle around to, the originality of it. Let's start talking about notifications. Once the mother notifies the father of an impending birth or a DNA test, how many days should the father have to say, okay, I know that's my child. I don't want anything to do with it. I want it to be adopted, but she won't adopt it. Mm-hmm. So I want to walk away like the mother would be able to by signing this paper, by never coming back for this child. I don't see why that's not an option.
Yeah.
And I have personal experience with this.
Yes, I know you do. Let me ask you this, because I've said this before in a previous podcast. I do not like our government.
Absolutely.
I love this country. I do not like our government at all. So they'll probably come after me. IRS is probably going to assign an agent to me. Every $4.85 I spend now, they're going to track it and see what I'm doing with it. But who's going to track those stats? The government? Oh, there's somebody I trust.
But
there's somebody I trust.
Has to support that child when the parents can't or won't? The government.
Well,
correct?
The government is us, right? I mean, it's, I suppose, but.
And look at it this way too. You compare a single father who's raising children on his own. Now I'm talking single father, no support from the mother, and a single mother who's raising children on her own, no support from the father. That father doesn't have the support the mother does. And here's why. There are no homeless shelters for single fathers and children. There are homeless shelters for single mothers with children that not only bring them in, get them on their feet, help them with jobs, with childcare, with food, anything that they need. But you see time and time again, a single father who chooses to take that child and raise it and take care of it falls on hard times. Where's he got to go?
Yeah. I hear what you're saying, and it's just a hell of a balancing act for sure. And
there's just a huge disparity.
There is a big disparity in both, who gets to make what decisions, and can I walk away, and what kind of help is available for the father, and
how many states are mother states? Too many.
Yeah.
Too many.
And we're not bashing mothers. I mean,
no,
I got two daughters.
Not.
I got two daughters that are single mothers, and we're definitely not bashing single mothers.
No.
We definitely support single mothers. We want to make sure that they're taken care of. But on the other hand, I agree with you. I think we should take care of single fathers. Now, in the town that you live in, you do have some single fathers that we know that are raising children by themselves, whether it's because of a death of a spouse or because of the spouse or significant other just leaving the children behind. And they struggle.
Absolutely.
And it's unfortunate because I don't see anybody doing fundraisers for these dads.
No.
And I don't see anybody saying, let's reach out to those dads.
No. And when they ask for help, even on the community page, well, don't you have a job? Well, why aren't you asking the single mother that asked for formula 2 days ago if she has a job? We're not.
Right. But there's definitely some disparities there. I'm not as intelligent as anybody in this room because I will tell you right now that our IT guy, our tech guy, Dr. Domain, is giving me these ugly looks right now. Like, can you even speak? Can you get the right words out? There is a lot of unbalanced acts here. And I don't disagree with you. Like I started out the conversation, I think fathers should have more rights. But with that said, that comes with responsibility on both parts.
Absolutely. And you have to also think of like the shockwaves from actually putting father's rights and the father's right to decide front and center. Okay, so if you look about child support workers in Iowa, their caseloads are just mind-blowing. And they are only allowed to have 21 cases at a time per worker.
Or supposed to have 21.
Supposed to. Did you know that the other states don't have caps like that? Other states can have between 50 and 100 cases for one caseworker for child support.
Yeah.
Now, if this were to come front and center and we were to allow fathers to voluntarily sever their rights, okay, away goes the child support. Away goes all these cases. Away goes people slipping through the cracks who actually have a case and need that support. And, for one reason or another, they're just not getting it.
Yeah.
It's a shockwave of things. And not only that, but let's look at fathers who are ordered to pay child support.
Right.
And let's say they get behind on their child support. Mm-hmm. What happens to them? And I'm not saying mothers don't, because I know mothers who pay child support.
Typically garnished.
Wages are garnished.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the incentive for divorce?
Well,
some people see it as an incentive because they say, well, I'll get child support.
Absolutely.
Because this is a mother's state and I'll get the children.
Or they'll get help from the government. And let's face it, our government has really done a tremendous job of ruining the family bond. They've done everything they can to sever the family ties and, set it up so that we don't give help to. What's wrong with giving help to a couple to stay together,
right,
and raise their kids together so that both the father and the mother are in the home? Fathers are so important in the home,
and that even goes to co-parenting.
I'm not saying that they're not, but what I'm saying is a father figure in the home is so important, and yeah, I think that there should be more help to.
Absolutely. And that even goes for co-parenting. You don't have to live together. You don't have to stay together. But fathers bring non-financial support to their children.
Absolutely.
And that needs to be recognized more than that child support, if not just as much.
Totally agree.
Absolutely. And penalizing fathers by taking their licenses, putting them in jail, having arrears so badly that they'll never
get out of debt. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm not saying that that's going to be an incentive for a father to walk away from his kid, but there's guys out there that are $50,000, $100,000 in arrears because they didn't want it in the beginning.
Yeah, I get it. Wow, Bobby. I sure wish you wouldn't have brought this topic up today, and I think we escaped today without giving our actual opinions in some respects, and so I hope we didn't...
Other than the death glares.
Yeah, death glares to each other, but I hope we didn't insult too many people, and please don't hate on us for this, but that's all we've got for today, and we really appreciate you joining us here at the Rabbit Hole Studio. Be sure to follow us. We look forward to spending time with you each week. Please like us, and if you have positive feedback for us, or there's a topic, there's a topic you'd like us to talk about, drop us a short email at boomerandgenxer@gmail.com. If you have hate mail, well, you know where you can shove that, because we're not really interested in any of that business. We're just here to have a good time. Until next week, I'm Jane Burt.
And I'm Bobby Joy.
And you're stuck with us. Peace out.
Later.